Assalamu alaikum guys, I'm ARK. By the previous video we have completed the concept of bitwise operators, so we can say that we have completed basic programming. That means we now know what are operands and what are variables, and we now know how to operate on those variables on different types of variables. We know how many types of variables are available in programming, so we can safely say that we are now at a level where we can use Python programming language for our computational purposes. For basic computation purposes, let us take this ability a step ahead and let us work on our thought process, and let us solve some basic problems using Python. And before starting that, we will see the concept of input in Python. So let's get started. Input.py, let me create a file as input.py. So let me just paste some notes in comments. So we will use comments frequently in this course because we are a big fan of comments. So I have not dedicated a video to comments, but we will use it. So traditionally there were two ways to take input using Python, that is input function and raw input function. Input function treated quoted data, that means the data in double quotations or single quotations, as a string. Otherwise, if the data is not in quotes, it was treated as a number. But in raw input, the data was always treated as a string. The data inputted by a user was always treated as a string. But now in Python 3, raw input is deprecated. That means raw input is disapproved. That means it is discontinued by Python. And now input function always treats data as a string. May that be in quote or may not be in quotes, but input function always treats data as string. This point is to be noted. Hard code this point in your mind. With that being said, let's start our video. So let us take an input and store it into a variable. So we will take an input like we can add a string like what to display on the screen in the input function itself. Unlike C, where we had to make up a separate print statement or cout statement in order to ask something to user to input, we can do that thing in Python in input function itself. So I'll ask for the name of the user, and we will store the input which is given by the user in a variable like a. So what this statement does is it prints name on the screen, which is like asking for his name to the user, and then it will receive an input as a string, receive the name of the user as a string, and stores it into this variable a. So let us print a now. Print a. Let us print hello a. Let's run it and see. So it is asking me for name. I will enter ARK and hit enter. So you can see hello ARK is printed. I hope you have understood the concept of input in Python. Now let us try getting input of some other type. We can't get input of some other type. As we have discussed earlier, Python input function always treats an input as a string, but after getting it, we can convert it into some other format. Let us first try committing a mistake. Let me just get rid of this code. So what we'll basically do is we will create two variables in which we will take input from the user input a and input so by this we are taking two inputs a and b, and we are storing it into variables. And now let's just add a to 10, like sum equals to a plus 10. Fair enough. So we are taking input a and we are adding it to 10. That is it. Let's try running it. Okay, let's just input 10. So you can see we are getting an error that a plus 10 cannot be formed because a is of string type and not integer type. So we can't add an integer to a string. As Python is a strongly typed language, only similar types of data can be operated with each other. It's not like JavaScript where an integer can be concatenated to a string. We don't see any implicit type conversion in Python. So we need to convert a into an integer or 10 to a string. Let us try converting 10 to a string and then adding it. Let us print some. So you can see 10 is printed. It didn't actually add 10 plus 10. It just concatenated the two strings. We are getting a string from here and we are having a string here. So it just concatenated two strings which will get 1010. So I hope you are able to understand what is going on. If both are string, we can operate on them. But if one is string and one is an integer, we can't operate on them. So we have to convert the input into our desired type explicitly. So let's see how we can do that. Python has a set of built-in functions which can be used to convert a type into another type. So we'll see that one by one. Let's get rid of this code and also this. We just created B in vain. We didn't use it. So we have a built-in function as a type of, where we can check the type of a variable. We will just print type of a and run the code. So you can see it is returning class str. That means the a is type of string. So let us just recall the data types we have studied in the previous videos. There were 7 basic data types, that was integer, float, string, complex, list, tuple and dictionary. So a can be converted into each of these by using the built-in functions which are written here in the comments. So you can do int of a and store it into a variable like a itself. A is equals to int of a. So this will convert a into an integer and store it in a. Let us just print the type of a. Let us run the code. So you can see it is now returning class int. That means a is converted into an integer. Let us just remove this input and write a equals to some 10 itself. Let's run the code again. So you can see it is returning class int. That means a is converted into an integer. Let us convert a into a float. A equals to float of a. Let's just copy this. So you can see a is now converted into float. A is a float now. Let us just convert a into a string. A is equals to str of a. So this will convert a into a string and store it in a itself. You can see. Let us just try. A is equals to complex of a. So you can see now a is converted into complex. We have an imaginary part in complex numbers like a is equals to ib, but I think there is no need of imaginary part, of specifying imaginary part. If we don't specify, it will assume it to be 0. So let us convert a into list. A is equals to list. I think we can't just convert a complex number into a list, but we will just see it. Print type of. Let us run code. So you can see we are getting an error. Complex number is not iterable. That means it also has an imaginary part. So complex number can't be converted into a list. So we'll just convert this into a string again. We'll just remove this. And now a is string. Let us try converting a into a list. So you can see class list, that means a is of type list now. Let us try converting this into a tuple. A is equals to tuple of a. You can see now it is of type tuple. Now any type can't be just converted into a dictionary directly. To convert into a dictionary, we need to have a key value pair. But still, let us just see what it gives when we try to convert it directly into a dictionary. So dict dict of a whatever. Let's run the code. So you can see we are getting an error. We are getting that length 2 is required. We have length 1. That means key and value are required, but we have just key or a value. That means just 1. Now let us see how we can convert a tuple into a dictionary. To convert it into a dictionary, we need to create a tuple with multiple elements, obviously. So we will create, we will type value first and then key. It is a rule. I don't know why. So 2 comma. So this is the first element, then comma, 3 comma key again, and we will enclose this. Let's write key 1 and key 2. So this is now can be converted into dictionary. Let us run it. So you can see we are getting a type dictionary here. We will just try printing a now. As you can see, we have key value pairs. Okay, so the order was not reversed. We had key and the value. So whatever this was the concept, you can convert a type into a different type by using these built-in functions. I hope the concept was clear. Let us now see it using an input. Let's first comment this thing out. So we will go to edit and toggle a block comment. So now we have a equals to 10. We'll also remove this. Let us create a new variable a where we will get an input. I will say user to enter a number, and we will return an exponent value of a. That means a exponent a. I hope you remember this operator. This will mean a power a. But to perform this operation, we need an integer input. So we will just convert this input into an integer. You can do like this and close this into an int function. So this will be converted into an int, and let's just print exp. Let's run the code. It's asking us to enter the number. We will enter 20. So you can see we got the answer, 20 power 20. I hope it is correct. So whatever, our goal was to convert it into an int, and we have converted it, you can play along with different types and different problems. So that is it for the video, guys. I hope the video was helpful, and if it was helpful, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to share it with your friends, and stay tuned for the further videos. Next video will be really important because we are gonna discuss the thought process. We need to solve the problem, and we'll try to solve the basic problems from the very beginning to develop the thought process of a programmer. So see you in the next one.